Hey everybody, it's Marty, the JavaScript party, and this time Rhett gets to come in. My daughter-in-law took Pebbles and Roxy home, and so I felt a little more comfortable bringing Rhett out here. So in the last video, I did an upgrade of Angular, and I was hoping that it would fix a specific issue, um, and that's these being wrong. And I don't really understand why they're wrong. I'm definitely going to actively like sort of keep bringing this up and bringing this up, and in hopes of at some point, like whenever it gets fixed, because I suspect it will get fixed, like trying to understand, okay, what fixed it, and I don't know what it is, but it is a constant annoyance, and I would imagine I'm not the only one experiencing this annoyance. Did you mean equal? So like it thinks it's a different language, um, and then chai. And see, I don't think I have chai. Maybe that's the issue. It's like chai expects static, and then I don't know what chai is. Let's see, Chat GPT. Um, in unit testing, what is chai? It's an assertion library. Okay, so two dot equals for chai. Um, if you're working an Angular project and decide to use chai, ensure your testing environment. Okay, so okay, my testing environment. Okay, environment is thinks I use chai. I believe this is Jasmine. So my IDE is showing errors. How can I fix that? Let's see. That what a funny thing. It sounds like this is what you mean. Should interpret compiler know you are using Jasmine? How to resolve this issue? Okay, I've already done that. Already done that. Okay, so this is different. I thought I didn't have a karma.json. Okay, so oh, if applicable. Okay, open command panel and select TypeScript. Sure, it's not set with plugins. Surety is not set up with plugins. Um, how can I ensure that does not have a chai plugin? Oh my goodness, Rhett, you are being so sweet. Plug in. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I don't have chai in here. Yeah, I do not have chai in there. I definitely don't have, yeah, I don't have chai in my package.json. And I don't have a karma config. Okay, check, search your test files. Okay, so let's just search all files for chai. Oh. Okay, so this I think was happening before I had that installed. There's a ton of them in package.lock, but I think it's coming in because of Cypress. And maybe. Okay, so I don't see this. Yes, well, let's look. ESLint. I don't know if I have. Don't think I have. No, I don't have ESLint. Inspect your ID. Go to extensions. I don't have that many extensions. This is where you would check extensions. It says I do have ESLint. Self-weighted bug. I don't know if I need this. I don't think I need this, but I'm not sure. This is one of those things where I can't really run and deploy an audit. So it's saying that I can go in here. I don't know. Let's try this. npm ls pipe grep chai. Yeah, it doesn't know how to do grep. Verify Jasmine setup. I don't have a karma config. You have a different test runner, Jest. If this works, which does, I think it's running tests using the configured test runner. Okay, so. Okay, so. Test. I also have, what is it? Cypress installed. So I feel like we are actually getting closer. That wasn't what this thing was for. It seems like. Does indeed use chai as its assertion limiter input. Here's how you can resolve. Okay, scope the Cypress type definition. Modified TS. Oh my gosh, we're back here again. I'm pretty sure we already tried this, and that did not do anything for me. Oh wait. Maybe that is. Okay, in your... Okay, so that's this one. See, I have types Jasmine node. But I do not have... Oh, Cypress config. It acts like I should have a new thing, another thing in here called like this. Copy. So I don't even know if this is going to work, but we'll try it. See what... Nope. Let's see. So I was kind of hoping that, because it's not really clear, maybe it goes in here. Types. Colon. Nope. So, restart. Okay, so I don't really quite understand this. Oh, there we go. Extend. Oh man, I hit my limit. So I definitely don't have this. And I'm pretty sure that's what I have in my tests. Let's go my spec. Import it. Ooh. So I'm already taking test bed, but let's take expect. Oh. Man, this is going to be awesome if this works. I can see, this is like kind of the best hope. Oh, no? What? I don't know why that is a problem. Okay, let's just copy this. Okay, so it's saying that I don't have that. And we definitely did this already. Okay, so it's kind of weird because it did seem to fix things. Run test. Let's just see if it. Let's save it and see if anything breaks. Run test. I think I would rather have this thing. Broken up here than these down here. Nah, it didn't work. If you'll notice, it threw an error. It's like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're... Okay, so, but the nice thing about that is it's going to be easy to copy that error. Okay. Error? Did you say error? See, she's trying to help. Okay. Oh, I can't. I've used up all my... Well, I guess that's a pretty good sign that I probably should get off of this issue at the moment. But I am... Yeah, let's go ahead and close that up. We'll come back tomorrow and use that. But I'm curious if dot... So that's kind of nice because It looks like it's actually letting me use it. I think that seems right. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I feel like we definitely don't have this dragon slayed, but I think we have moved in a good direction. It would have been nice to be able to say, well, you know what? Let's just go the old fashioned way. Let's go into Google. And so this was how I used to sort of solve these problems. So stack alpha. Okay. What is it? HTTP client testing module is depreciated. Do not see HTTP client testing module. Oh, that's actually an error. The fix for this is use provide HTTP client testing. Okay, so I think that is something different. And I think this is sort of like, it's just, um, it's so much easier just to put this kind of thing into ChatGPT and let it kind of work through these, because this is just a waste of time. Uh, and then this is wait for async. So here's a forum. Yeah. So I don't know. I couldn't really find anything good about this. So I guess it's time to move on. And what we're supposed to do in this video was not waste a bunch of time trying to fix this weird issue, but to actually, um, and I might actually do that like in the future, just do the import, use it, and then do that. But it's to try to move this into a component. So one of the things that's funny about that is I think it's the easiest concept in the world to understand. You're going to create a component, move the code in there, and it's going to run. It just doesn't ever seem to actually work out that way. There always seems to be some like timing issues and stuff that happen. So the way I sort of imagine this happening is having a component, and then in here, in this HTML, let's get rid of this up here, um, adding like that component in here, and then inside of this, I don't know. Let's close this up. No, don't save. Um, in here, adding that component and then having the code run in there. Now, that isn't exactly really what I want to do. What I really want to do is in that component, I think all I want it to do is basically the equivalent of this, like append it to an item in there, and um, this call for this renderer to create the renderer. And then I guess it even makes sense to set the size. I feel like the animation loop, probably the renderer should handle setting up the animation loop. Um, but I think setting the size makes a lot of sense. But I don't know. That's sort of very vague, right? Like, it's the kind of thing like if you're a boss and you sort of just say that, that's not quite enough information for like a junior developer to really run with, but I think it's a good start. So anyways, let's go to our packages folder. So anytime we want to create anything new, first of all, I think I just want to close everything else other than this. And then Control P, package, and I want to create a new component. And I think I just want to I think it'll just set it up inside. Well, actually, I want it to be in components since I have interfaces and services. So basically, we want something kind of like this one for the service. And this is something that just used to be a little bit more challenging. What's going to be the name of this thing? Viz and ng generate components. And then viz. I don't know what we're going to get, but I'm hoping that we have a folder called components and then a component, another folder called viz. And then inside of that, we have HTML, CSS, viz HTML, viz component.scss, and viz component.spec. So let's do it. Now, let's run it. Oh, yep, this is the right place. CViz. I wonder how long. Well, we're already 21 minutes into this. I'm just getting started. We're just getting started. All right, so this sort of makes sense, and then this sort of makes sense, yeah. So now we have our viz component, and the name of it is app viz. So we can do this, and we can say and I really honestly am not. Okay, so one of the problems, okay, so this isn't going to work. And I didn't really think about it, but it's not going to work because we have not imported AppViz into this guy. So app component imports. And we actually import it by its name. So I can't even remember exactly how to do that, but I believe what we do is we get this thing. And we come over here, something along these lines, and then we go and then yeah, it's like I don't know what that is, and then we tell it, oh, and it told us that, but it's got a blue one, but I think I might know what that is, and that's viz component. And I think I don't know. I think most people, what they'll do is they'll sort of bring all their stuff in. And so, like, put it in this sort of order, where they put, like, the core things, and they put their things, and then they put third parties. So I think that's the typical way of doing these things. It doesn't matter, I don't think. It's just, sort of, I don't know, provide some guidance. I think that now we have our viz component. Now, a lot of times people will, it's I don't know. It's standalone is so new, and I haven't really worked in a very big enterprise environment. Like my current job that I don't know, probably not gonna be a job much longer, but my current job, yeah, I don't know what to think of it. But my at the state, I wouldn't really consider it a big enterprise. It's a big application. The application is definitely big, but it's not like enterprise in a like a code base that maybe more than 50 people work on in that way. But it is a big, important application. But anyways, so yeah, so there's our viz, And as you'll see that our application is now too big because this is trying to do 100% of the body size. That's how it decided what the size was going to be. Um, I think what we want, the first thing we're going to want to do is inside of the viz, we're going to want to create a div, and that div will have a certain height and a width. By default, um, yeah. And then I don't know, I'm not sure exactly. Um, see here, so we do have so yeah, it's kind of a bummer in our visualization. So this was a mistake in our, so we have a renderer. Oh no, we do have a width and height. So the renderer should use this width and height when it generates this, as opposed to what's happening down here where we just, well, we are using it, but yeah, anyways, yeah, so that's good. Did better than I thought I did. Um, but for now, and this is probably not how it's going to say, we're just going to create, I know we're going to need to create a div. And I know that that div is going to need to have a way for us to get a reference to it. So this. And this is one of the nice things about Angular is that, like, in most applications, like say we're gonna have 10 of these side by side, we'd have to sort of manage the IDs. We have to have like create IDs and delete IDs, and that would be a level of complication that we don't really have to do now. But if I hit save, basically this should collapse, right? And then I also want to give it a class of viz. And once I get to 2 lines, I always put these on separate lines because I'm pretty sure we're going to make changes. And when we make these changes, what's going to happen is, I mean, let's, if we had, let's say, I think that at some point I'm going to have to kind of work on different work streams. Like maybe I'll have different branches. And as I have these different branches, I want to be able to work. I don't want to have the 2 branches have get conflicts on these same lines. So, but anyways, dot viz, and then I'm just gonna say width is equal to 200 px and height 200 px. Now, so it's definitely not listening, I don't think, because I think it was supposed to. Well, actually, it probably is listening. It's just that this is starting. Well, oh, okay. So that's good. The problem is appviz is a block element, and we really don't want it to be a block, or we want it to have like a position of absolute, right? So now I don't know where. Okay, so yeah, it's right there. It's got a position of absolute. It's not using, because we're going to want to be able to drag these around and stuff like that. Now I don't know if 200 by 200 is the right size, but anyways, so now we changing this. Well, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Position absolute. Yeah. So I don't know exactly but we can look really quick to see. Okay, so the width of this guy is 0, but the width of this guy is that. And I think that might be what we want. I'm not 100%. I think it might be. And then I'm just going to give it a z index of 1. I think that, well, let's just check it. There's no reason to wait for the... Oh, and it's like, you can't do a z index. It doesn't like the fact that this, let's see, this little thing. So it thinks that appviz is static. Okay, so let's try this. I'm curious. So that it matters at this point, but and I don't know. Curious relative. All right, so I'm going to make it a position of relative at this point. And now I don't understand. Oh. Let's try this one. 2. And now what is it complaining about? So it's not really complaining, but what if I change him out? So all right, so that's not working the way I had hoped. All right, so I think, okay, so what if we, okay, take this thing and we give it a position of absolute. Now it's complaining that the z, and let's give it a position fixed relative. So it's saying that that is good, that is fine, but we still can't see it, and I don't really understand why. For some reason, the canvas, so this has a canvas inspect. Oh, that's interesting. That's our aspect ratio. Let's see. Let's change this to none. And unfortunately, yeah, so that doesn't do us any good because let's change this guy's background color to red. Okay. Oh, that's probably why we weren't seeing anything at all. Okay, so let me hit reload. Okay. Appviz, I think we want to make that a position absolute. And then we want to take this guy and we want to give him a background color. Whoa, she got me good there. I think the dogs got, wow, that's wild. So if we give it a background color, then you can see it. But without a background color, you can't see it. Okay, so color, and we're just going to make that white for now. And then I think what, yeah, it's weird. Angular never does redraws, or I haven't seen Angular do redraws for style changes. In here, we're going to say appviz gets position absolute. I think this is the best way to do this. There's other ways to do it. Absolute. And I guess what we want to do is just make a small code change that will force a redraw. Okay, so that's exactly what we want. So now we have our appviz sitting on top, And what would be nice is if the app viz created a renderer. You know, like the first thing it did was just create a renderer. Now, the app viz needs to, I guess the app, does the app viz need to create, I'm not sure. I think the app viz, my gut tells me that the app viz needs to create a, let's see, I want a better color. Green. So I think the app viz, you don't like that name, app viz? Is that the problem here, Rhett? So I think the app viz, every time I was saying that, she would make that sound, needs to, I think the app viz needs to load or needs to execute and create a renderer. And then that's probably what we want to do. We want to create a renderer in the app viz. So, but so the question I have is like, do we need to have all of this information here? And that we probably don't. We probably don't want this guy carrying that information. Really, I think all it needs to do is register itself with the renderer. So, renderer. Golly, where do we generate a renderer? Mesh, scene, renderer. Okay, so we can't. Where do we create the renderer? Oh, okay, we create the renderer up in here. Up in here. Okay, so we can create a renderer. Just like that. It seems like that's exactly what we want to do. And then I think that's okay. That's the next step. It's so funny, like when you visualize, okay, I'm just going to move all my code into a component. It just is like, okay, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then next thing you know, you're just like, I don't know how to do this. Add signature, add missing member. Oh, okay. We also need to create a renderer service with the inject function. It's gonna be nice when this is smaller. So like, I don't even want this renderer to even have the vaguest idea that animations even exist. Like, I don't even want to know of the concept of animations. All right, so now it's like, oh, okay, I know where, I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but I think you might be talking about this renderer service. And I know this one never works. You never work. You never work for me. All the things I did for you three, and you never work for me. All right, so now there's that. All right, now. So now we have a renderer, right? That's all we know is we have a renderer, and that renderer exists. And I'm guessing, I think in our renderer service, it actually knows the renderers. It has a list of renderers, right? It has a render dictionary, and I'm thinking that there's multiple things, and what we could do is and our constructor will console log the renderer ID, which I would imagine it's going to build the outer one before the inner one um, even exists. So it's so easy to not like just totally underestimate things, just because it just seems so obvious. See, so this is renderer. So I have a second renderer. It exists. Doesn't have anything in it, but it does exist. We know that. The other thing that we see, and that's okay. So that's another thing, and I think this is like in 1994, 1995, 1996, 97, 98, when you were doing like a lot of the early languages and the beginnings of JavaScript is before async existed and stuff like that. When you wrote code, it was very linear. It was like, okay, you do this, then you do that, then you do this. But it's like nowadays, it's like, okay, you do this, and now the next step is these next 5 parallel things. And then trying to, like, you can't actually build them in parallel. So you're really building them, I think it's called concurrently. I learned that on LinkedIn yesterday. Like it was showing parallel and it was showing 2 things happening at one time, but concurrently is like this, then this, then this. But what we have is like 10 things that need to be done, and some of them may have some dependencies on the others. Some of them like have hard dependencies, like you have to do it before the other, but most of them have soft dependencies. It's like you could do it before the other, but then you're gonna have to circle back and do that. And a lot of them, some of them even have dual soft dependencies. So exactly when to do each piece is tricky. But I think this would be the point in time to use our this thing template reference variable. And I would love just to go to ChatGPT and be like, hey, what's my template? How do I use a template reference variable? But I cannot because I've used up all my ChatGPT Soma points. But that's good. That's good because it's a good idea um, to figure out how to do this stuff on your own. And so I believe what we want is to use a function from core called child view child. View child, I think. And then I think we want to declare something like our render child view child, and it's of type view child, and I think it equals a new view child, and then I think you just give it the name of that, and then I think what happens is I think there's like another thing. What, Rat? What? And I think you give it this, and then I think you might have to say static :true. And I think what that means is that, oh man, let's see. Static Boolean. I think that means it's not going to change. like it's not doesn't have other children and things like that in there, but I'm not 100% sure. But I believe you can get more. I don't know if that's absolutely necessary. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. And then this is where like you'll get into some issues around timing and things like that, like when things are available. Now I think and then that's when, like, if you have a component and then you make a child component, like the timing could be different once you make a child than when you had everything in the component itself. So things can get pretty dicey. Console log render view child log um, div child comma render view child, and then okay, so this is our child, and it's telling us what the selector is. So yeah, there's something missing up here because I believe that what we should have is like a DOM element, and I think if we add that static equals true, we might get that DOM element. And this would be like the perfect time to sort of interrogate ChatGPT about this to try to understand it better. First to send as true. So I think maybe it doesn't exist yet. So let's go ahead, and I'm just sort of swinging at the fences here. So we want to do implements, and then I think it's on view. Init, view, after view init. And then this is kind of nice. You can just say it like this. It usually puts it, oh, so yeah, I like that. And then let's try this. I think that it may not be, I think I'm 99% sure construction happens before the actual drawing. And I guess we can actually check that really quick, but well, it does have the query. Let's see. Dot. Okay. Darn it. Okay, so we'll go to Google and we'll say Angular view child DOM element. Angular 5, Angular University, DigitalOcean, Medium, Angular view child. Let's try this one. Okay, so I guess these are the things that you're allowed to set first. So the question was like, what is static? You would think you'd click on this and it would tell you what that does. Oh, description. Let's see. Oh, I think I want this. The following is supported by read. Resolves before. Okay, dynamic query. Static is equal to false. The query resolves before the ng after view init. Callback is called. The result will be an update for your change of your views, such as ngf or ng4. Query result once the view has been created, but before the change detection runs. That is interesting. Okay, so it looks like one of these Descendants emit first read. I think that was read. Read is what we wanted. Let's go read any class. Any class. Any provider. Oh, man. Do they have a usage? Okay, so at input, view child, and pane. So our template's up here. So pane. So it looks like this would read both of these, I guess. And then set pane. I don't know why you would do that. I mean, I don't know what that's all about. Let me see if I can find a better one. I felt like I definitely learned some by reading this. I do not think I got what I wanted. Let's hit back and back. Let's see, VJet DOM. Create the DOM with view child. I don't know how this plural site works. View child, reference DOM elements. This is definitely what I want. Let's see if HTML goodies is kind of clean. View child. So we're kind of doing this. Private windows. Who are you? Element F. This. Who are you? Native element. See, I don't understand why I don't have this render child. Native element. See, that's kind of what I expected to see. But maybe I'm doing this. Oh, okay, so yeah, so this was a decorator, not a function like that. So I feel like I've done this before, though. Okay, so instead of new, I probably was supposed to do at view child. Who are you? Okay, I'm just going to comment this out for the moment. And I'm trying to figure out what this is. Expression expected. This, who are you, ref? Okay, I feel like this is just really old. You do? Dogs. My wife says, "Do you want to go potty?" to the dogs all the time. So, yeah, man, this is the kind of thing that makes you really like start to feel like you're kind of dependent on ChatGPT. Now, honestly, once this application is bigger, there'll be examples within the code, and then see, does he have anything? So this is his, like the template reference variable. Let's see, template color sample component. I just want to see him use it. Okay, up here, happy child mat. So, oh, okay, so it seems like I needed to do it this way. Let's see, where is it? At view child should have been the beginning. Oh yeah, I think that is how these work. At view child. and space. Okay, so what is this error? Okay, so I think what we want to do is put an exclamation mark. Or we can, I know there's a bunch of ways to do this. At the moment, I just want to do this. Now, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Inspect. And then console. Okay, cool. So we have our div. Oh my gosh, that was so much harder than it should have been. Okay, so this is let's just, instead of native element, let's do this. This is a relief. And then, okay, so this is an element ref, not a, and then we want to put, I believe there's an exclamation mark we can put here. No. I think this will even tell you, like, it'll actually convert this decorated query to a single query, save. Okay. There's no initializer. Let's go ahead and look this up. So I know that there's a TypeScript way to fix this. Okay, I know, okay, there's a couple of things you can do. You can also say or undefined. And this is a good way to do it a lot of time. You know, this can be a good way to do it because it sort of forces you to write code that says, hey, you know, like code that says, hey, this may not exist. So you have to say, like, if the, see, like, I think this could break native element. Well, oh, so it added that there. So basically, if you don't do that, then it's going to just be like, hey, this might not exist because you said it could be undefined. So if you add this here, then that's basically the equivalent to, let me just show you this. Since I'm sort of, so you can go to a place called TypeScript Playground, and you can just click in here. Like a lot of times when people have asked me, like, what is that? Like, you can just go like this, Control V. And I have no idea why it made such complex code. So let's get rid of this. Render. I'm just going to say, like, const a equals render. Yeah, like, I don't know why it's creating such complicated. Yeah, I wonder if I can change this to like an older version. So basically, it's doing something along the lines of this, right? Like it's just checking everything, and you can always go to TypeScript Playground, and let's go ahead and just maximize this. And I don't know why, like it used to be that you could would put it on multiple lines, but basically it's saying that A is equal to, if this is equal to null, then do this, if it's equal to void. But that's basically what it's doing. And I feel like this over here is like the code is a bit um, more complicated. It used to actually show you like the if and everything, but it doesn't look like it does it. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Oh, and it's upset. I guess this older version. It's been a while since I've used this, and I think it used to be a little, like I said, it would generate code that was a little bit easier to read, but I do think this is accurate, and that is converting this TypeScript into native JavaScript. And that is a pretty good hint and a pretty good useful hint. And I guess that is kind of why I do this in this sort of long format, because like I just don't know. I just don't know what I know. That is something that like a lot of times when I do TypeScript, I'll go to that TypeScript playground and um, I will use that. Okay, so what I'm curious about now is if we go in here and we inspect and we go to our console, okay, and what I'm very curious about is if we do this. If in the constructor, if it already, okay, so it is undefined. This does not exist in there, and now it does exist after viewing it. And just to be clear, I'm 99% sure that it would not necessarily. I don't think it would work if then we added another. Like I don't think the view init would be the right hook. This is called an event hook, and I don't think this view init hook would be the right event hook if we were trying to get something that had another component in it. So that's that. But see, now we have this native element, and we can use this native element to assign our viz to. So, and I don't know if this is how I want to do it. I definitely want to put some more thought into it. But when I come over here and we do this body append child, I would rather, I can just say that DOM element append child, this render DOM element. Now let's see if we have a DOM element inside of our renderer. I know we have, okay, so we want to get, okay, so we have our renderer. So console.log renderer, and then dot render dot DOM element, and let's see what we get when we do that. Okay, so we do have an element, and so what we can't, we could just do that now, right? We can just say so we can just put this in here, and this is kind of the nice thing about the this is the nice thing about calling it undefined up here, saying that it could possibly be undefined, is it will force me to do this. And then I can say because we know it exists because we have that code up there. Now, if you think about it, like, I don't know, like, this, all this sort of technology is all just stacked up on each other. And, like, we have this weird thing going on inside of our specs files. Like, if we had that going on out here, that could be very, very difficult. I guess that's something we may have to deal with someday in the future. Everything seems to work fairly well now. But Now, so we didn't get any errors or anything. So my guess is if we look inside of this element, yeah, see, we now have our canvas. Now the thing is it doesn't have a width. It doesn't have, we didn't set the width. We didn't set the height. We didn't give it a scene. You know, we haven't done anything to it, but it is now assigned. So I feel like in some ways, um, let's go ahead and make this background color white. Hopefully we can, I mean, we will definitely be able to get rid of the background color in the future. But so I feel like that may be really all this component should do. Maybe all it should do is create the renderer and then append itself to it, and then like all the rest of the sort of behavior. Well, okay, so the renderer at this point, yeah. So the thing to think about is like the renderer at this point doesn't really know. It can be determined what the parent is from then, but we probably want to use Angular for that. Um, so on like in our renderer, um, our our renderer, I think at this point we've already we've sort of found something in the service or in the TypeScript that maybe it would be nice is if we had like an element, a native element inside of that's like optional inside of the TypeScript. So like, let's see. So if we go to the TypeScript interfaces, and then like our renderer, it has these things, but like maybe a element would be nice to have in here, so then it can figure out what the size of the element is, so we can write code for the size of the element to be calculated and for the renderer to just stick itself in there. Like it might actually, yeah, we might probably want to call another function from, yeah, so maybe we want to do one more thing, and that's call, okay, so first of all, yeah, so I think we want to do this. This is probably the last thing I'm going to do. I know I'm just going on. So I'm just going to say const native element string is equal to, and basically all I'm trying to do is figure out what the proper typing is for this thing. And this should break. Are you crapping me? Why is that not breaking? A native element. Oh, it's an element ref dot native element, which I guess is an any. Well, that's a bummer. So if I said this is a number, so apparently a native element can be an any. So I'm going to call it native element. I guess it's an any. And it's optional. That is not going to be required ahead of time. But let's go back to our indexes, renderer. And I'm just going to call this native element. And I think this makes a lot of sense because this is not a, like one of my things. And then question mark. So basically this is that. So basically I think what we want to do is pass a function a renderer ID and a I think, yeah, we need the renderer ID over here too. And that's got to be optional too, because we don't know it. Well, renderer ID. It may not stay optional, but for now it has to be because we don't know. So we'll pass it a renderer ID and a native element. And what it will return is a full-blown renderer object. And then we'll pass that renderer object to another function that populates the data, that populates the div with that. I think that is going to work. So anyways, that is how coding works, you know, like you just have to grind through things. And yeah, and once everything starts, like, it just takes a while to sort of get to the point where things are rolling. And it's always like at this point you always want to get like just really like you want to get to where you're doing something cool and interesting or useful or feel like you're making traction, but it really is tough. Like if you set everything up right at the beginning, things just tend to go a lot better. So I think this is a record for me at an hour and 12 minutes. I have a feeling it's not going to stay a record. Probably should do, if I'm going to go more than an hour, I should go live and do it in a live. Now, I don't know how that works with a playlist, because I do want to have like a concurrent playlist. So maybe I won't. But I would love to get good at that, going live. But anyways, so I think what we have a component, and that component creates a renderer, assigns the renderer to its div, and then it's going to call a function and pass it the renderer ID and the native element. That function is going to return a full-blown renderer object. That renderer object is going to then it'll take that renderer object and send it to a something else to create a full-blown renderer that will then look like this. So what we should have is basically this thing, but up there. And that should work pretty well. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.